We are finishing Speedster Week, apparently, with Northman #1. And the fascinating thing about this series is I had read it before. I had definitely read it before. Northman is my favourite member of Alpha Strike, and I definitely had read this before, but I had absolutely no memory of anything in it. I think that alone is all the review needed for this. Well, this is Northman, and there is some weird shit going on with the existence of this miniseries. First, Alpha Strike was finally cancelled at issue 130. Some would say 100 issues too late. But I honestly quite enjoy the last 20 issues, and even parts of Fabio Nicieza's and Scott Loball's runs. I felt that the book improved before it ended. Anyway, Scott Loball, he had Northman come out of the closet, and then he got fired from the series for it. And Marvel spent 5 issues after it printing almost exclusively 8-mail in the letter section, saying they are all going to burn in hell. Fucking bizarre. Really fucking bizarre. But several years later, the novelty of having a gay character had went from internal embarrassment of homophobic higher-ups to let's milk that controversy 2 years later by giving the gay one a miniseries. I have no ill will for the writer, Simon Furball. It was he who wrote those last 20 issues of Alpha Strike, and he writes this too. He is a good writer, and his Alpha Strike was a lot better than people give it credit for. With that said, he did do some very 90s shite, and that's on display here with an appearance of Weapon P.R.I.M.E. Remember Weapon P.R.I.M.E. from Excellent Force number 10? Of course you didn't, because the only popular or recognisable characters from Weapon P.R.I.M.E. are not here. The artwork for this, and certainly on this page, it will hit ya like the standard 90s proto-Image Comics wannabe stuff. And I would agree with that initial assessment, but if you stay on the page a bit and spend some time with the art, there is some real competency to it. So, Northman, I am not sure what the intention or the goal was here. When they outed Northman, they ignored it. They barely referenced it again in the rest of the Alpha Strike series. Here is where it is insane. This miniseries gans back to the Jason Byrne way of handling his sexuality. Implication, hints, and not saying otherwise. Now, we all know he is gay, so it is really obvious that him ganning out clubbing with a man has more to it than a night out. But it is totally useless to do a miniseries starring Northman and then navigate straight around one of the main things about the character, and at this point in history, his most unique selling point. The thing is, I didn't blame anyone at Marvel for what happened with Northman's sexuality being treated as a subject of controversy and disgust. I've read that it was the higher-ups, the corporate ones, the stockholders. It was the people like that who were repulsed by a gay character. It was those higher-ups that demanded Scott Loball off the book and then made them effectively ignore this huge character development for so long. Then either the majority vote shifted, or they saw money to be made, and we got this series. But it still is reluctant to explore Northman's homosexuality. I think reducing Northman to nothing but a gay man wouldn't have been better. But it takes us back to that Marky Mark J quote about the Hawkeye miniseries he did. Marky Mark J, he said he believed that a character like Hawkeye or a character like Northman here, when they receive a solo miniseries, then it should contain the biggest event or the most important story to happen with that character yet, to justify it not just being a subplot in regular issues of Avengers or issues of Alpha Strike. It's not the most sensible thought, especially in the now, where it seems like an excuse for people like Tom Queen to break characters. But I think there is some logic to it. This should be the best Northman story yet, and it comes at a time where truly exploring his sexuality would have been the obvious and the greatest thing that it could accomplish. Instead, the thing we are tackling is his terrorist past. He was a French separatist, which for a while were the most prominent terrorists featured on me channel. They were cropping up everywhere. By the way, I have done a lot of videos on Northman and his history and his comics. I hope I have proved that I genuinely am a fan of this character. I'm not just saying he is my favourite one because he is a big fat gay boy. I think there is a lot of that. People say they like Northman because of his cultural relevance, but I really do like the character. Weapon P.R.I.M.E, they have been sent after him by the Canadian government because in the Marvel universe, the Canadian government are insanely proactive and illegally militaristic. With Weapon P.R.I.M.E, I could not name any of these characters, and I only just read this. I could tell you the letter Y is featured prominently in just about all their names. With this team, I get why Andy Richter isn't with them here. He joined Excellent Force when he realised cables wasn't evil. But you are really setting the bar low if you cannot even get Mr. Garrison to appear. Weapons Special K, Mr. Garrison. Wasn't he meant to be their leader and all? We have a cameo from Miss Maple. That is nice to see. Alpha Strike ending meant that most of the characters didn't appear again for ages. And some of them, the more secondary or minor characters, never really appeared ever again. Windshield, I'm looking at you. Northman, he has been framed for a murder. And here is a gay scene without ever acknowledging it is a gay scene, so that a dummy could pick this up and not realise Northman is openly gay. Instead of boyfriends and lovers, Northman just has friends and good friends. Did Northman gang back in the closet? Is that a story that happened off panel, where he went back into the closet? That would make sense with the comics that came out. Maybe when he told everybody he was gay, about 20 minutes later, he said he was kidding. I'm not saying every page needs to be him bumming another fella, but what really is the point of doing a Northman miniseries if you're going to tiptoe around what is a major part of his identity? And then here is the fight you have been waiting for. Northman versus Weapon P.R.I.M.E. It's alright stuff. The fighting, it lacks a certain flair because these characters he's fighting are non-entities. These are things that Robert Liefeldman drew on a page to fill a team, and nobody really cared about them. And the first Marvel series starring an openly gay character ends with him running away from the bad guys. And so we get to the reason that I likely forget reading this so much, and that is Carrot Top. As much as I like Northman, it is about the same as how much I dislike Carrot Top. I didn't think even Northman fans should track this down because it is doing so little with his character. I like the cover. The covers for this series are interesting. They are all this basic idea. But the story is the most inconsequential Northman story ever told. More is and has been done with Northman in single panels of issues of Alpha Strike than in his own mini-series here. That's why I'm rating it 7 thumbs up. I actually forgot I have these tiny little figures of Northman and the Flash. They're not very good.